Hello, everyone. My name is Frank Rivera. I'm from Stronger Than Sarcoidosis, and we have here Chasta Posey. Chasta, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chasta Posey, a native of Greenville, South Carolina. And Frank and I met through the Foundation for No, we didn't.
Yeah,
We
well,
met
kind of.
before that
Yeah,
because we did our own congressional briefing
yeah. Which they were
before
there at.
they were there, but
Yeah.
we did our own. Okay, yeah. So Frank and I met 7 years ago, I want
Yeah.
to say 7 years ago.
Hmm.
So Frank and I have known each other for 7 years because we both have this crazy illness called sarcoidosis. I've been dealing with it since 2005, 16 years in, knocking on the door of 17 years. So what doctors seem as longevity in this disease, um, I'm thankful to, still be able to navigate through. I have sarcoidosis in just about every major organ in my body. The only thing that's not affected majorly is my liver and my neural system. I am a patient advocate, patient navigator. I'm a peer mentor, and I sit on the Women of Color Committee for the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research.
Yeah.
I'm
Congratulations.
also a part of a couple of different organizations throughout the state of South Carolina. And yeah, I think that's the
Okay.
short resume that I have. My
Yeah.
resume isn't as long as Frank's, but
Yeah.
it's pretty
Very
lengthy,
impressive.
you know, with
Very
some of the stuff
impressive.
that I've done. So yeah.
I'm so glad that you're part of that Women's of Color thing, by the way. I think
Yeah,
it's
it's a
amazing.
great initiative that
Yeah.
that I'm working with your treasurer, Cheryl Bradford.
Yes.
Me and Cheryl are working on this committee together. And when I say Cheryl is like one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my entire life. And not just because she has sarcoidosis, but because she's just a genuine person all around.
Hmm.
She's always been true. She's always been sincere, and she's always been willing to help whenever I needed her to. So yeah,
Yeah.
I love Cheryl.
I think we got a pretty good group over here.
Yeah, y'all
but
have an amazing group. I wanted to be part of Stronger Than Sarcoidosis, but I don't
you
live
will
in
be
New York.
actually.
So
Actually,
I think you gotta
I
live in
we
New
have
York. So
something.
let me move to New York.
We have something planned for you. You just don't know it
Oh Lord. Look, adding another thing to the resume. So
yet. Yeah, of course.
yeah.
But yeah, so actually, one of the reasons I started this conversation, and like you can see, it is a very informal conversation. But I did want to speak on mental health because that's very important for especially people with suck. How has sarcoidosis affected your mental health, or yeah, good and bad?
Okay. Sarcoidosis itself is people who have it know how much of a whirlwind it is. And you're going to have those tornado days, those hurricane days, those rainy days, those stormy days. But you're also going to have those sunshine days and those rainbows in the sky and those birds chirping, those types of days. In the beginning stages of my sarcoidosis, those rainbow butterflies, those, birds chirping, those days were very few and far between. When you get diagnosed as a teenager, I was diagnosed while I was still in I was coming out of high school. I was going into college. I was in my freshman year of college and I was diagnosed. So just for the sake of time, I've lived most of my life with sarcoidosis. I was diagnosed at the age of 18, right before my 19th birthday, and I'm 35 years old. So a lot of my life has been spent what the doctors consider sick. And having that play on your mind as a teenager, having to make some adult life decisions, because by the time I was diagnosed, there wasn't a such thing as the Ronald McDonald House for me. There wasn't a such thing as the child plan for my mom to do this and to get assistance because you're dealing with a child and all that kind of stuff. And I was what they consider a grown woman at the age of 18 because the assistance programs that they have for people, it ran out. And so I was diagnosed January 5th. My birthday was March the 9th. So we literally got little to no help in the beginning. And when everything kind of took a whirlwind effect, it was just like, okay, what in the world is going on? Like, at one point you think you're doing okay, but then when you finally get a leg up, you get knocked back down. And it plays on your mind because having to be so young, making adult decisions that you don't think you need to be making. Because growing up, you only seen people sick who was older. Like, you know, and that's a stigma we have to sometimes get out of, because just because you're older, you know, that you're the only people that can get sick. I mean, I was 22 years old with an oxygen tank. So it's like one of those things, like, when you see a 22-year-old walking around the mall with an oxygen tank, that plays on your mind, because people are looking at you and asking questions like, what did you do? You must have been smoking this and you got lung cancer. And no, that's not even half of it. And then let's not talk about the mental effect from the prednisone when you gained a whole lot of weight and you get that moon pie face and all that kind of stuff, and having to deal with that, and people thinking, oh, well, she pregnant. I wasn't. No, I gained weight because of the steroids. Oh, how did you get pregnant out of that? You know, but that's, you know, the ignorance of other people from not asking questions. So basically the mental health aspect of sarcoidosis is it just adds another layer onto life, and having to navigate through life while handling an illness and a disease that, you know, do we know if it's terminal or not? Do we know if I can live or not? Is there proper treatment? And 16 years ago, the only thing they were giving people was prednisone. They were loading everybody down with prednisone and Imuran. And the Imuran didn't do nothing for me. So 60, 80 milligrams of prednisone, eating everybody out of house and home, attitude all jacked up and all that kind of stuff. And I'm still feeling some of the effects of relationships from the mood changes that the prednisone happened. And it wasn't me, it was the medicine and stuff like that. So it definitely plays a part mentally, because you literally have to will yourself to try to be as normal as possible. And I'm just at that point now to where normal ain't who I am. I'm not normal no more. So yeah.
Yes. So how, like, when you do get the, you know, the anxieties and the depressions, what do you usually do to try to either fight it or figure it out?
I try to find those things that make me happy and do those things and participate in activities that, you know, just make me happy. I love ice cream. Ice cream makes me happy. So if I can get my hands on some ice cream real quick, I'm the happiest person in the world. You know, a lot of people know that about me. And if anybody knows me, they know I'm this big. And me eating ice cream, if anybody's ever seen me eat, a lot of people are just like, where do you put it? You know, and stuff like that. So it's just, I try to find those things that make me happy, that put a smile on my face, even if it's for a moment, for just a little brief moment. And I tell people, a lot of people in the foundation, they say, well, one thing Chasta is going to tell you to do, therapy and self-care. Those are the two things that I preach on all the time to anybody new that's coming into the foundation, because at the end of the day, while we're doing the work, people sometimes forget that we're still the patient and stuff like that. So we're still dealing with everyday life and everything like that. So, you know, I try to do those things that make me happy. I try to be around those people that make me happy. I try not to be around people who enable my depression, who enable my anxiety. I try to be around people who lift me up. And in that, you know, that sometimes gives me that push that I need to keep going and stuff like that. So, you know, and I tell anybody, get you a therapist, because that therapist can sometimes pull stuff out of you that the people around you can't, because they've been trained and they've been licensed to do those things. So yeah, find something that makes you happy, find that will, that reason to live, that will to push forward, whatever you got to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always say that you can't do this yourself.
Right.
You can't fight this disease yourself. There's just no way to fight the mental and the physical part yourself, and try to and make, you know, make good of yourself at this point. But who do you usually go to? Who's your go-to people? Whether it be, like you said, a therapist and or somebody else, or
I have I have different people for different needs. So it just depends on what the need is. My therapist is always probably more than one of the first persons I always go to. If it's something that I feel like I can't fix on my own and the people around me can't fix it, then I'm definitely calling my therapist. I think people have the stigma of, if you have a therapist, you're crazy. And my thing is, if you don't have one, you're crazy. And so, and stuff like that. But I do have, I have friends, and I have, females and males in my life who mentor me into, a better attitude about things. And those people based on the need I have in my life at that moment, because everybody in your life serves a different need, and all that kind of stuff. And I told somebody earlier today, and you said it perfectly, you can't do this alone, but you need somebody. Everybody needs somebody. I don't care what nobody say. Everybody needs somebody, because your eyes can't do what your ears do, and your mouth can't do what your nose does. So if you're trying to get your eyes to talk and your mouth to see, it's not going to work. Everybody needs somebody, and every part of that body plays a different role. So if I know my ears are there to hear, sometimes I need to close my mouth. And stuff like that. So, you have to make sure every part is working right. So that's why you need different people in your life for different reasons and all that kind of stuff like that. So, I have people around me who mentor me and who I call them get me in check.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you actually also need somebody that's going to, when you're wallowing, and it's okay to be upset, and that's okay. Right. But I mean, there's a difference between upset and wallowing, and you're just keeping yourself in that point. It just doesn't, it's not good for your body to be upset so often and all the time. Do you have that person who just, will kick you in the butt or something? That says,
kick you in the butt. I call them fire starters. They start that fire up under your behind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always, my wife is, she, as you know, Diana, she's always there, but she's also there when I'm like, all right, I'm like laying in bed for 4 days, and she's like, really, come on now.
Yeah, it's time to get up, Frank.
Yeah. So yeah, I just think that it's always nice to have that one, at least one, if not more, people that are real people, because I don't like yes people.
Absolutely, because I'm not a yes person. I'm not gonna tell you yes all the time. So just because it's something that you want to do or something you feel like you'll benefit from it, and it's not good for you, and that's why I say you need to definitely be connected to the right people. Because those people who are always telling you yes, 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 they're benefit and they're a liability. They're not an asset to your life.
Yeah. What would you say to somebody who's a new patient who is like their family don't believe them or their friends don't believe them? What would you tell them?
And see, that's kind of like a toughie for me, because when I was newly diagnosed, my family and friends, we've never heard of it anyway. So now that it's becoming more common, a lot of people are just like, well, my family don't believe I have this or I have that. And I think when you allow your family in to walk the journey with you, you allow your family and friends to walk the journey with you. I tell everybody, document everything, have a journal. And if you're not feeling well on Monday, write it down. What are your symptoms? How are you feeling? And then, because you can also share it with your doctor at the same time. Same thing for Tuesday. If you wake up happy on Tuesday, this is how I feel. Then Wednesday, how are you feeling? Thursday, how are you feeling? And if you document it and you allow your family and friends in on the journey with you, it becomes more believable. This is what the doctor said and all this other kind of stuff. Share with what the doctor said. And I mean, yes, you want to have a sense of privacy, but when you're dealing with a disease called sarcoidosis, like it's not like it, and it's no shade to any other disease or illness out there. But when you're dealing with something such as cancer, like they kind of have a handle on that. There's research for that. I mean, they get funding for cancer all year long. Like people are always donating and stuff like that, but we have to work that much more harder for the research, and we have to work that much more harder to get people to believe and understand what we go through. And a lot of people look, they say the whole notion of, well, you don't look sick or you don't look like you don't feel good. But as ambassadors, now I don't know too much about other patients on the outside, but a lot of us ambassadors and advocates and stuff, we push through. We push through to the point to where we can't push anymore. And then we'll go lay down. Like you'll be missing for 3 or 4 days, but then nobody will check on you because, oh, you're just so strong. We figured you had it handled. No, don't do that. Like, so it's one of those things you have to let people in on the journey. you keep a level of privacy of whatever you want to keep private and stuff like that. But at the same time, you have to let people know what's going on so that it becomes believable.
Yeah. And I also think that it's not for you to worry about what others think.
Right. I agree with that.
That's on them. It's not on you. You are,
Right.
like I had the conversation yesterday, and I was just saying that, you know, if people look at you and think that you're faking it or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
that's on them. That's not
Mm-hmm.
on you. And if you're embarrassed or ashamed about this disease, then that's on you.
Yeah,
That is on you because
that's definitely on you.
because you didn't ask for the disease. It's not like you gave yourself this disease. So don't be embarrassed. It's just something
Right.
that happened to you and not something you did. And
Right.
so we were
And
talking
I
about
think
that
that's why it's
actually.
important to be connected with groups,
Hmm.
like the Sarcoidosis National Online Support Group, different support groups in every state and county and stuff like that. It's beneficial to be connected to those type of groups, because those type of groups give you that release and that relief that, okay, I'm not as crazy as people are trying to make me out to be. Let them think what they want to think. Now, that part is not going to be easy, because in the beginning, it was like, well, y'all can't see that I'm really struggling? Like, I'm on oxygen. Do you not believe that I'm struggling right now?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Like, you know, you have to get to that point to where you're just like, okay, this is where we are. And I'm just, when that light bulb goes off and you say, okay, I'm tired of, everybody saying this, is tired of everybody saying that, then you get that in your mind. Okay, I'm not really worried. It takes time to get to that point. And don't try to make yourself get there, because the more you try to make yourself get there, the more hurt you're going to be, because people still aren't believing you. So just take your time and navigate this disease your way. Don't allow anybody else to try to push you to navigating it any other way but yours, because your journey is your journey. You can't take Chasta's journey. Chasta's journey is going to be different than Frank's journey, so you can't take his either. So you have to walk your journey the way it's designed for you to walk.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, I'm trying to think of how to question this one out here. Uh, well, when you like, if somebody comes to you that's new and wants you to make decisions for them, what do you tell them?
Nope. I'll give them options, but and I'll help them weigh the options, and we'll go from there. But I'm just an advocate. I'm just a navigator. I'm there to help you navigate through, but it's up to you to take the turn. It's up to you to stop. It's up to you to go, and stuff like that. And again, every illness is not designed the same way. Just because we both have sarcoidosis doesn't mean our journeys are going to be the same. If we're traveling this road and my GPS is telling me to turn right, but yours is telling you to turn left, you can't go with me.
Yeah.
You can't go with me. And as a navigator, we're trained to know what to say and how to help navigate people down their road. And if with Chasta, what I need to make a decision. Well, these are your options. These are your options, and you need to decide which one you feel like is going to be best for you. So no, I'm not making any decisions for anybody. I would definitely walk with them through the process and everything, and try to be a sound ear and stuff like that. Because again, what worked for me might not work for the next.
Exactly. I mean, they don't call it snowflake for no
Right.
reason. So, like, what else do you think is very important when you're talking about mental health, depression, anxiety, good or bad? What-
Oh, the most important, I think one of the things that we don't really pay attention to sometimes is the influences that we have around us. Mental health can sometimes be better. And what people need to understand is that kids aren't the only people that get bullied.
Mhm.
Adults get bullied. Cyberbullying is completely real. We've seen that here in the past couple of months about the cyberbullying thing with some of these celebrities around here. And I think sometimes the influences around us can cause us to fall further into depression, anxiety, all that kind of stuff like that. Like those things, and people those influences. Because my thing is, if you're in a mental battle and you know alcohol is your muse, why are you still drinking?
Yeah.
So I think sometimes it's the influences that we have around us that people don't really pay attention to. And sometimes we need to, and I think that's why therapy is important. And I think that's why a professional is important, because that professional can sometimes tell us stuff, again, that our family and friends are not going to tell us. Because if you got those people around you who are feeding you the alcohol and who are feeding you the drugs and all that kind of stuff like that, then they're enablers. Those are the wrong influences. But then on the flip side to the influence, you need to surround yourself around those people who are going to pull the bottle away from you and pull you out of bed. Get up, clean your house up, make the bed up, take that load of laundry that's been in that dryer for 2 weeks, take it on out, you know, and all that kind of stuff like that. Like, those are the people you need around you to kind of help push. Now, I'm not saying you just need to wallow because you know you can. You still need to be self-sufficient in your own mental health care. You have to be. But sometimes those influences around us can be good or they can be bad.
Yeah, my doctor, and he's a sarcoidosis doctor, specialist. Yeah, I've said this many times, is that even him, he even said that our disease, more than most diseases, is 90% mental and 10% physical. He goes, we only have certain amount of medicines that we can give you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really up to your brain to tell you, all right, what are you going to do about this? Are you just going to sit here and, like I always say, roll up in a ball, or are you going to go fight? And he always used that was like one of the very first things he told me, and it's always been in my head. And especially when you have a doctor who thinks about just medicine, it was nice to hear that, it actually woke me up. So it's like, okay, all right, I really need to, and
it's all about being proactive in your own care, being your own advocate. I preach that so much with incoming patients, incoming ambassadors and advocates and stuff like that. Like, you have to be your own advocate, because nobody can advocate for you better than you, because nobody knows what you're dealing with when you're at home by yourself and you're banging your head up against the wall trying to figure life out. Nobody knows. You have to be your own advocate. There's so many mental health avenues. There are so many more mental health avenues now than when I first got diagnosed. Like, it's so much out there. And sometimes people just don't. I'm more so on the fact of believing that a lot of people don't want help.
Yeah.
I'm at that point. People don't want help.
Yeah. But the thing is it's also, it was ingrained in a lot of cultures that, especially for men, men, you're big and strong, you don't cry. Men, real men don't cry. Real men, you just keep it inside. You just, brush it off.
And y'all have that stigma in the in the male dominated culture, and with the Black culture, it's one of those things where growing up Black, they assume everybody grew up in church. And their thing is, well, you can just pray it away and all this other kind of stuff. Well, no, I mean, if we want to get biblical and we want to get spiritual, the Bible says, faith without works is dead. While you sit here praying and you're not doing any work behind it, then it don't make no sense. So, you have to get to a point to where you got to. I would rather, you reach out for help for a professional than you to reach out to somebody who you call friend and they don't reach back and you end up killing yourself.
Yeah.
And my thing is, I always try to make it to where I'm accessible to my friends and stuff like that, because I'm not gonna say a lot, some people around me are just at that notion where, Chasta, you're just so strong, you're this, you're that, and all that kind of stuff like that. But they don't see the times where I'm in my bedroom and I have to cry myself to sleep because I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted, because I keep trying to push myself and stuff like that, and trying to be that strong person that everybody sees. That's not easy. That's not easy, because and people need to understand, like, you have to sometimes sit at your kitchen table and make some of those life decisions that are hard. Are we buying groceries this week? Are we paying a phone bill? Can we put something on the light bill? Can we pay the water bill in full? People don't understand. Those are the things that cause those mental health battles to start, because you stress. And it's easy for somebody to say, well, don't stress. But when life is coming at you, the way it comes at a lot of us, because it's like we're living two lives. We're living a sick life, but then we have to live the life of every day. We still have the struggles of every day, but then you want to add an illness that's going to set you back 10 steps. So, mental health in any community is important, but I really do wish every man in America would understand how important they are, how much we need them. And the same thing with all my Black sisters and brothers. Like, we need each other. The same way, Frank, y'all need each other. And we can't do it alone. So don't reach out only just because we're going to have a good time and we're going to party and we're going on vacation. Reach out to me if you feel like I can't go on anymore. That's what a friend is. That's what I'm here for. And, I'm being intentional about making sure I tell people that I love them, making sure that I tell people, how much they mean to me and all that kind of stuff like that. I'm being intentional about that because life is coming at everybody's ass. I just lost somebody who was a good friend to me and my family, and we lost him literally all of a sudden, and nobody was expecting it. And we woke up, we went to bed one night saying good night, and we woke up the next morning finding out that he was no longer with us. Like, it's mind-boggling. Those types of things play a part in your mental health. While it's not directly affecting my sarcoidosis, it's affecting my life. And when my life is affected, that plays a part in, Chasta, you can't stress, because you start stressing, you're going to get in the middle of a flare. And if you flare up, you're going, stuff like that. So it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. And I don't want anybody to think that it is.
Yeah, we're always a work in progress. And everybody always says, "Oh, stress is a killer," but for sarcoidosis, it's even more of a killer.
Right.
But it's and then you get that, "Oh, don't stress because you're gonna get sick." Well,
right.
Sorry, it's life.
The stressing
but it's
part
how you
now,
deal it.
Right. I tell anybody, if it's just stress, that means we're having a good day. Let's not throw in the anxiety attacks and the panic attacks and the depression and those suicidal thoughts and attempts that people don't see. Those are the things that people need to understand. Like, if we're just having a day of stress, sometimes that's just a good day.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna end it on a good note here for you. What would you tell people about the good sides of like dealing with mental health? There are some good sides to it too.
Oh yeah, there are some amazing sides to dealing with mental health. One of those things is when you get a therapist, that therapist sometimes helps you identify the root of your problem. And stuff like that. And sometimes once you identify the root of the problem, everything else will blossom and you can fix everything. So that's the good side. Also, a good side is you can find things about your life that you like and you love that you never knew, because you're blossoming into somebody new. Because when you have so much bogged down, sometimes you become the weight that you're carrying. And when you become the weight that you're carrying, once it's lifted, you really find out who you really are. And so that's a good side. That's a good aspect to getting help mentally. And then you form relationships. You form
moment. Sorry.
Yeah, you form relationships better, you communicate better, because now you can identify where you were lacking. And sometimes it's just that when that weight is lifted, it's like you float, you're lighter on your feet. And again, you're being intentional about everything that you do.
Yeah, I find for me, even just talking it out, and even if somebody's just listening, like I've had the same counselor for 11 years now,
Right.
and she spoke on our support groups and stuff like that. But just when she listened, just to get it off my chest, that feeling right there is like, all right, I don't have to carry that anymore. And that's a big feeling. It's a great feeling to me.
Right. It is. It's definitely a great feeling. And sometimes it just gives you that sense of relief. Even if for a moment I release this particular issue, okay, so now let's move on to the next issue so that I can release that too and get that off. So yeah, I agree.
Well, any other words that you have on this thing, or you
I
good?
I'm a I'll tell everybody. A lot of people are just like, well, Chasta, you're glowing. You have this different aura about you and everything like that. And their aura comes from, I used to be that person that said I was looking for the light at the end of the tunnel. I used to be that person, like, oh, if I could just make it to the light, it's at the end of the tunnel. But I had to quickly realize that everything that I was looking for was always inside me. That light that was inside of me, it was just the people and things around me that was dimming that light. Again, that weight was pushing me down so far and covering up that light that I couldn't see it. And when I started to move those things out of the way, and I realized the light that I was searching for outside was in me the whole entire time. And everything that you need to be a better person, to be a better patient, to be a better advocate, to be a better ambassador, to be a better committee member, everything that you need is inside of you. All you have to do is move everything else out the way, seek within yourself, and let your light shine so bright that nobody else can dim it.
Well, that's why I knew I had to have you on this thing. So inspirational. Like, person, I knew I had to get on here to talk about this mental health. It's such a big, as you can see what's going on TV, and with athletes, with celebrities. You can see it, and with COVID. COVID
Oh yeah.
itself, put a lot of strain on a lot of mental health issues.
Yeah.
So
And I think with the athletes and the celebrities and the professional athletes and stuff like that, I
mhm,
think sometimes we give them too much power. They're still
yeah,
human. We give them entirely too much power. And we put, and not everybody, but sometimes people put stigmas on these people that they're greater than any other human being. While they may be better at me with a sport or anything like that, they still put their pants on one leg at a time and stuff like that.
exactly.
And they still have struggles like, anybody else. Their struggles may be a little magnified, because they
Mhm.
have a little bit more money and a little bit more notoriety. But at the end of the day, when you cut them, they still gonna bleed red. When they go into the ground, they still going 6 feet deep. That hole is still gonna be the same size. So I think sometimes we need to stop putting so much, stop giving them so much power and realize they're still human. Yeah, they excel at what they do, and everything like that. But they mess up. They, you know, and then we want to have this whole cancel culture thing and all that kind of stuff like that. If we never gave them the power, we wouldn't have to cancel them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
My thing is
I
like,
think,
yeah, I think that with like, especially like what's going on with athletes now, and then of course, you have the online people that are saying, just push through it, da 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 da. You first of all, you never stepped in their shoes. First of all, we
right,
don't know what they're thinking. Well, just like nobody knows what I'm thinking when I'm dealing with this disease. That's first of all. Second of all, like you said, they are people. I mean, you have Simone Biles. She's 23 years old, and you're expecting her to run the world, basically.
yeah.
And you know, and then they say they're weak if they actually point it out. I'm like, are you kidding me? She's strong for pointing that out.
Well,
It's like
and that, because
nobody else
I
would.
wanna ask somebody, I want to ask somebody so bad. You want people to push until they can't push anymore. But when they can't push anymore, now you're calling them a coward?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Make that make sense to me. You want me to push beyond my limit. But when I get to that limit and I can't push anymore, now I'm the laughing stock of America. I don't think
Yeah.
that's fair. I don't,
Yeah.
and anybody can apply that in their daily life. You do so much for your family and your friends until you can't do anymore. And then when you need them, they're not there for you. At some point, again, like we said earlier, you have to realize when it's time for you to take care of you, and you have to drown the noise out. You have to drown the noise completely out.
I just thought of one other question I really wanted to ask you is
Go ahead.
how did you get to the point where you could say no to things?
That
I knew that was
that
going to be a fun one.
whoo, we don't have time. I mean, I'm just kidding. But I got to that point when I realized that the people I was saying yes to wouldn't blink an eye and say yes to me. And my feelings were getting hurt. people that I would do anything for, that I would make sacrifices for, those people wouldn't do the same thing for me. So it got to the point to where when Chasta started saying no, they started feeling some type of way. At first I was affected by it, but then I got to the point where it was like, I really don't care, because at the end of the day, when I needed you, you were not there for me. So when you get to that point and you see those people who you would say yes to, and they're going to say no to you, I can't remember. I'm using an analogy on Facebook one time, and I think I said, stop swimming oceans for people who wouldn't jump a puddle for you, or something like that. Like, you have to stop, because you're sitting here drowning in everything that you're doing for all these other people, but they won't even jump over a puddle to even look your way. Like, no, you got to stop that. You got to stop. And once you get tired, you'll realize when you're tired, that light bulb will go off and you'll be like, okay, I get it now. I really do get it now. No, it's so easy for me to say now. And I'm happy to say it to anybody, regardless of who it is.
And don't feel bad about saying no.
Right. Please don't feel bad.
I asked that question. I asked that question because you know me. I'm in the same boat as you, where saying no wasn't the easiest thing for us.
It wasn't the easiest thing.
But I learned this.
You have
you
to
learn
get
the hard
there.
way sometimes.
And the hard way is gonna be you falling on your behind 4 or 5 times, and they say a hard head make a soft behind. We're gonna see how soft it is.
And nobody, and the thing is like when you fall, and those same people, like you said, aren't there to help you.
Yeah, because when you fall, they're not there. They're not there to pick you up. They're not there falling with you. They're not going to be that cushion for you to fall on. So you have to stop falling for people who are not willing to carry you or pick you up.
Yeah. All right. On that note, I think we leave it on that one. I think that's actually a good note to leave it on. I'd like to thank you for being on this. I know a lot of the questions, like I said, it was very informal, so I like that idea of it. So we can just have a conversation. This, like I said, this is our 1-year anniversary for Stronger Than Sarcoidosis.
Happy anniversary!
I know. As some people on my board are calling it Strongiversary.
Right, Strongiversary.
I still haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm trying, but I'm getting there. But yeah, so, and we do have a lot of things planned. Go on strongerthansarcoidosis.org.
Okay.
If you go on the event page, there's the whole month is pretty much full.
Well, it's a couple of those things I'm doing with y'all.
Yeah, you're part of it. Yeah.
You'll see me again.
So we're gonna, so it'll be quite interesting. And I think some of these things are gonna keep on going. I don't think this is Mental Health Monday. We're gonna still have conversations. And I'm hoping, you and I are going to start interviewing more people and just getting a real feel. Get a real feel for people. And really feel where they're at. And let them know that it's okay to be where they're at.
Right. But it's a lot of people who have stories who may not have the platform.
Yeah.
So
exactly. I want to reach out to people that we haven't spoken to that often.
Right.
Because I think they're the ones. That's what, not to brag, but that's why I did the billboard when I did the billboard.
Oh yeah.
It's because let them have the word. Let people have their words. I always say you can't have one face of sarcoidosis. You need 100,000, 200,000. That's how many people have sarcoidosis. They all should be a face of sarcoidosis.
Absolutely.
All right. So thanks again, and I will talk to you soon.
All right.